Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. The SEC has been attacking the entirety of the crypto space for a number of years now, intentionally harming the investors which they're sworn to protect. But the tide has turned. Obviously, with the devastating loss in the SEC v. Ripple case, then there was the recent loss with Grayscale. It's very clear, and even in the case that haven't concluded, actually, what the judges are saying, if you listen to the tone, like, it's not stuff you'd expect to hear from judges. The phrasing, the recognition of the clear audacity from the SEC. So, to me, it's very clear. The tide has turned. The SEC is going to completely lose this battle, but it doesn't mean that the actual war is over, so to speak, right? Because there's still battles, there's still individual lawsuits that are going on. There are other lawsuits that have been in the process of, about to get launched, I'm sure, that are going on behind the scenes, and then we're going to find out about those soon. So it's not that this is all over, but it's very clear that the SEC's in the wrong. They're not going to get what they wanted. So that's fantastic. But there's still going to be fallout for years to come. And so we got some of that today. So there's two stories I'm going to cover. The first one's on your screen from the Crypto Basic. Ripple CEO says SEC push for appeal is frustrating, but it's clear XRP is not a security. Okay, so that's the backbone of what this concept is that I'm espousing here, and it's fantastic to have that. So this is the utter, it's just utter devastation for the SEC, the fact that this is indeed the case. But again, they're still fighting, which brings to an offensively stupid development in which the SEC filed a lawsuit and ended up settling the damn thing today. So here you can see the headline from Decrypt. Mila Kunis's Stoner Cats NFT project sued by SEC settles for $1 million. Mila Kunis, of course, is the, I guess maybe is she still most famous for being in that 70s show? I don't know. She's been in movies and stuff a lot, obviously, since then, but maybe that's what I always think of when I see. But anyway, so in case you were unaware, a couple years ago, there was basically crowdfunding. A project is launched, and then the SEC comes in and says, no, you can't do that. And it's like the twisted logic. Whew. But still, they got a settlement here, and you know what kind of sucks since it's a settlement? There's no precedent that's set. It's just the bullying of people, because it's easier to just give up, pay a gigantic fine, and then move on with your life. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so here's the first headline from the Crypto Basic. Ripple CEO says SEC push for appeal is frustrating, but it's clear XRP is not a security. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse has issued fresh comments on Bloomberg regarding the blockchain company's ongoing legal tussle with the US SEC. And there's a couple spots here I wanted to highlight because they did have a couple quotes here. Commenting on his reaction to SEC's interlocutory appeal request, Garlinghouse said it is frustrating that the regulator has chosen to continue to fight a lost cause. So folks, well, we're still waiting to hear what Judge Torres has to say about this. I'm not optimistic for the SEC of this. I don't think that Judge Torres is likely to approve this and say, yeah, I agree with you. You should be able to appeal right now, interlocutory appeal, which is an expedited appeal which would be occurring before the actual trial is completed, with Brad and Chris and so on and so forth. So here's the quote from Brad Garlinghouse on Bloomberg. On one hand, it is frustrating that you have a government that has unlimited resources to keep fighting a fight that it has already lost, end quote. Okay, so that is spot on. That's what I keep saying. So in this case, the SEC clearly lost. And you could, if you want to speak in a technical sense, okay, fine. You could say it's a mixed ruling technically, but on the only thing that actually matters, which is whether or not XRP itself is a security, devastating loss for them. Absolutely devastating loss. And so this is why I said, as a result of this, so they lost that, but the tide has turned, and as a result, you're not going to find a bunch of other judges finding that the asset itself is the security, which is what the SEC has been arguing. Ain't happening, son. Piece continues. Notably, Garlinghouse said the court has already clarified that XRP is not a security. Ripple CEO emphasized that the SEC is not seeking to appeal the ruling on XRP's non-security status. And here's a quote from Garlinghouse. The judge has already said very clearly that XRP is not a security. What they have asked permission from the court to appeal isn't actually whether XRP is a security. The appeal is on whether, under certain circumstances, a transaction will be an investment contract. End quote. And then a separate quote was, "I am very optimistic. The facts are on our side. The law is on our side." End quote. Yeah, and that's very clear as well. And my favorite thing about this, actually, is that even the SEC said, yeah, we're not going to appeal the decision of whether or not XRP is a security. They're not even appealing it. It's over, folks. Like, they threw in the towel on that. That is fantastic. But it hasn't stopped them to move forward with other nonsense stuff. Which brings us to this next piece, which is completely ridiculous. Again, this piece titled, Mila Kunis' Stoner Cats NFT project sued by SEC settles for $1 million. The United States Securities and Exchange Commission has charged the creators of the project Stoner Cats with selling unregistered securities around the launch of NFTs in 2021. Stoner Cats 2 LLC, the company behind the NFT-based cartoon project, agreed to a cease and desist order and will pay a $1 million civil penalty without admitting fault. The company will also destroy any NFTs that it still holds and establish a fair fund to refund investors who purchased the NFTs in the primary sale. Folks, I gotta ask, who did the SEC protect here? So think about this. Even if the SEC were right on the law, and I'm certain, I do not believe for a second they are, it's just, settling is the easy way to get out of this. I understand, because, you've been for a years-long legal battle, cost you a fortune. So I understand why firms would settle. But what I'm saying is, even if the SEC were right on the law, and they're not, but even if they were, who's getting protected here? The law, if that were the case, the laws are so warped, they're so messed up, that you're harming investors and calling it protection? Who the hell is bitching up a storm about this? Nobody. It's the SEC, that's it. Now, they are on the wrong side of the law, and thankfully we have juggernauts like Ripple that have the funds and the intestinal fortitude to fight back. Because without that, them, and you could argue Coinbase. So there are only so many that are positioned to handle something like that. But without that, the SEC would just get their way with everyone, basically. Piece continues. Stoner Cats was created by Orchard Farm Productions, the production studio of actress Mila Kunis, who also voiced one of the feline characters in the cartoon series. According to the SEC, the company raised $8 million in the sale as users purchased Ethereum NFTs as entrance tickets to show. The NFTs let them watch a web series in which 5 cats and their owner get high. The show also featured the voices of big-name celebrities like Kunis' husband Ashton Kutcher, actress Jane Fonda, Family Guy creator Seth MacFarlane, and comedian Chris Rock. Playing the role of a taxidermied feline, Ethereum creator Vitalik Buterin also made his Hollywood debut. So I don't know about you, but I suddenly want to go watch cats get high, I guess. Now I want to know more about this. I had heard about it, but I had completely forgotten about this thing. I've never seen this. I'm sure some of you have. But you got to see. So I'll just say this on the legal front. Thankfully, you've got 2 of the 5 commissioners at the SEC that recognize and agree to which this is disgusting nonsense crap. So here, take a look at this. You have Commissioner Hester Peirce, who, by the way, is one of the commissioners who voted against bringing legal action against Ripple. She was against harming XRP investors and attacking Ripple. And that's as reported by Fox Business. But they're pushing back against this too. They just disagree with this, and I like how vocal they're being. So there's Commissioner Peirce and Commissioner Uyeda, and these are the 2 Republican commissioners. But the 3 Democrats happen to be in favor of this crap. And so here's what they wrote today. We respectfully dissent from the Commission's second non-fungible token settlement, as we did from the first. The application of the Howey investment contract analysis in this matter lacks any meaningful limiting principle. It carries implications for creators of all kinds. Were we to apply the securities laws to physical collectibles in the same way we apply them to NFTs, artist creativity would wither in the shadow of legal ambiguity. Rather than arbitrarily bringing enforcement actions against NFT projects, we ought to lay out some clear guidelines for artists and other creators who want to experiment with NFTs as a way to support their creative efforts and build their fan communities. Whether an artist is selling numbered versions of physical prints for fans to display on their walls or NFTs for fans to display on social media, she deserves clear guidance about whether and how the securities laws apply. Artists of all kinds have long struggled to support themselves, And NFTs offer a potentially viable way for them to monetize their talents. The fact that money is involved does not transform NFTs into securities. Yeah, and by the way, I'll note, it might have been in the Crypt article, and I probably just didn't cover that part unless it's in here. But what they were going to get, the creators of Stoner Cats, was with each transaction for each sale of the NFT, the creator, the Stoner Cats people, they get 2.5%. It actually might be in this dissenting opinion here, but I just wanted to cite it in case it's not, because it's just an interesting fact. So they don't want that to be transferred. So if you're a small artist, whether you're a blogger, a video creator, podcast person, whatever it may be, and you create something, apparently, if you get royalties, then since you would have incentive in theory to make everything worth more, I guess you're somehow now in a common enterprise, which means the only way to get around this is the original artist just doesn't get paid. They don't get the royalties anyway. Now, that doesn't sit well with me. That doesn't sound right to me. I think the fact that with this technology, original creators can get a certain small percentage for each subsequent sale, like, to me, that's incredible and fair. And that's why I said, even if the law were such that were illegal, then I'd say that's a bad law. But I don't believe that it is. I think the SEC is just ridiculous here. And these two of these 5 commissioners agree. So anyway, where's the part that I left off here? It might have been right here. This enforcement action involves activity that we believe constitutes fan crowdfunding, a common phenomenon in the world of artists, creators, and entertainers. In July 2021, Stoner Cat sold 10,320 NFTs to the public for Ether valued at $8.2 million to fund the production of an animated series called Stoner Cats. NFT purchasers received a unique still image of one of the characters in the Stoner Cat series and exclusive access to the series and an online community, as well as access to unspecified future entertainment content. Several famous writers, animators, and voice actors worked on the project. And so, folks, a lot of times baseball cards are brought up as a comparison, which I think is pretty fair. You purchase a collectible baseball cards, and this would be just as egregious as if you said that, those constitute illegal securities transactions because there's Major League Baseball, and there are individual teams that engage in marketing that bring more fans in, that would bring up potentially the price of said baseball cards. You can make these BS arguments, but in such a world, everything's a security, and that's stupid. And this is far outside the intent of such securities laws. So you could argue this about anything. And then they also write, while updated for the digital age, the Stoner Cats NFTs are not that different from Star Wars collectibles sold in the 1970s. On the heels of the very successful release of Star Wars in 1977, fan excitement was high. To the delight of millions of children that holiday season, the toy company Kenner sold early bird certificate packages redeemable for future Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, and R2-D2 action figures and a membership in the Star Wars fan club. The sales of these certificates helped to build a die-hard community of Star Wars fans. Would those IOU certificates, which could be resold, constitute investment contracts? Using the analysis of today's enforcement action, the SEC should have parachuted in to save those kids from Star Wars mania. I love how that's parachute out in. I love that. But it's a perfect analogy. It's just you put an investment of money into something, it doesn't even exist yet. It's a certificate that allows you access to it in the future. Oh my God. Oh my God. Protect the kids. It's absurd, right? But this is what they're doing. It's just they're out. They know this harms investors. They're out to do that. And so then we can't get in their hearts and minds, so we can only speculate as to why they're doing it, but we can observe they're doing it. You can't have this many oops-a-doodles, we got the law wrong. And especially when you see how hard you're getting pushed back against when it gets time to argue in court. Yeah. Not an accident here. Definitely not an accident. So there's a settlement here, but again, this is just to avoid prolonged and expensive litigation, and this doesn't set any precedent, and they ended up paying a $1 million fine. It's crap. So we'll keep calling this stuff out, as we should, But even so, even despite all of this, as disgusting as it is, I still insist the tide has turned. And there will be a day in the future where none of this crap is happening anymore, even if it takes years. We're going to get there. You know, the wind is at our backs. We're on the right side of history. And judges who are unbiased, they see this and they're ruling accordingly. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.